Malala Yousafzai. This is the 14-year-old girl who won the Nobel Peace Prize for 2014 for her advocacy of girls being educated in Pakistan. The Taliban said that that was one of the reasons that they attacked the school in which last count was 126 children were dead, or 126 people were dead, most of them children. And also they said that they wanted to demoralize the military because a lot of the kids at that school are children of members of the military. And of course the military has been, Pakistan from time to time has been fighting against the Pakistani Taliban. On a much less grave scale, the Iranian self-proclaimed cleric of the peaceful religion of Islam held hostages in a restaurant in Australia and ultimately was killed by police. Two of the hostages also lost their lives. There's a growing sense, people don't want to talk about it too much, but there is a growing sense that there is something inherent to Islam about that has to do with violence. I want to ask you a question. It's just for your knowledge, to test your knowledge on Islam. How many converts did Muhammad make before his first use of the sword? How many converts did he make before his first use of the sword? The answer is around 200. Before the first killings, where God allegedly told him to go ahead and begin to kill pagans and infidels and polytheists, he had about 200 converts from his preaching, after years of preaching. Not a lot. Islam would have died with him, had he died. Now, after he used the sword, how many converts did he have? You ready? All the rest. All the rest. The entire Arabian Peninsula was conquered, and people were forced to declare that Muhammad was the messenger of God. If they did not declare it, then they were either expelled or they were killed. After Muhammad's death, the entire Arabian Peninsula, or most of the Arabian Peninsula, apostatized. They left the Muslim faith. They said, well, Muhammad's dead, that's behind us. And the first caliph, the first successor to Muhammad, Abu Bakr, had to reconquer the Arabian Peninsula and get these reprobates and these backsliders and to come back to the faith. And he did it with the sword. So when we look at Islam, one of the big mistakes that people make is that they fail to separate Islam from individual Muslims or large groups of Muslims. The truth of the matter is, most of the Muslims in the United States of America are peaceful, because if they weren't, then they would be a source of constant violence, right? Most of them are law-abiding citizens. And so we make the error to look at Muslims instead of looking at Islam. Most Marxists are peaceful. They are. Now, there was a lot of Marxist terrorism in the last century, but most Marxists were peaceful. You don't look at the individuals and then say, this is the religion. You look at the religion and say, this is the religion. You look at the founder of the religion or the philosophy, like Karl Marx and Marxism. You look at their primary documents. If you want to understand a religion or a philosophy, let it speak for itself. Just let it speak for itself. Don't, and many of us have a natural aversion as Americans to speaking ill of someone else's religion. It's part of who we are as a people. You know, the First Amendment, freedom of religion. How can someone's religion be bad? You have yours, I have mine. So there's this natural aversion to speaking ill of someone else's religion. But there is a growing sense in a lot of people's minds and hearts that there is something inherent to Islam that produces violence. And you know what? They're right. And you know where it started? With the founder, Muhammad. Here's a bumper sticker you can take, and I'll be back to talk about more. The bumper sticker is this: Jesus died to start Christianity. Muhammad killed to start Islam.
You have two choices. I mean, you can try to raise your children by design, or you will raise them by default. There are no perfect parents. We're going to get it wrong sometimes. If we have a plan, we've got a better chance of getting it right in the long run.
There is something deep within the heart of every human being that longs for parental acceptance and approval. When does a boy become a man?
Get a group of guys around and ask them that question.
I don't think there's a certain age. Some men stay boys their whole life.
I would say, 16, 18 years old.
Wow, that's a good question.
When they get bar mitzvah.
Well, I think when he has a child. So I just became at 56, 56 years old.
Without the power of the Holy Spirit changing us and giving us power over our sin, we can't hope to be the dads that our kids need us to be.